Hey MMA fans, Cage Minds, your host Maiquel Falcao, here to do our recap for Bellator 69. We've given you 4 predictions. We'll tell you what happened with those 4 fights. Start off with a heavyweight qualifier that was between Kevin Asplund and Ron Sparks. Both fighters weighed in fine, but Friday morning, Ron Sparks wakes up under the weather. That fight is canceled. It was a heavyweight qualifier, so hopefully we'll see a make-up to that fight. Get well soon to Ron Sparks. That fight was replaced on the main card by Mark Holata versus Abe Wagner. That fight basically went with Mark Holata shoots in for a takedown, gets Abe Wagner down. Wagner uses a high guard to nullify the ground and pound of Holata. Holata drops down for a leg lock attempt after Wagner counters with his own leg lock attempt. Holata's is in much deeper, and Holata gets a first round submission. Wagner just screamed out tap once, got up limping. Mark Holata moves on to the next Bellator heavyweight tournament and looks like a force to be reckoned with. Now we'll move on to the 3 fights that were left on this card that we did predict on. Start that off with Megumi Fuji versus Jessica Aguilar. This is a strawweight fight to see who is number 1 in the Unified Women MMA rankings. Fuji was ranked number 1, Aguilar was ranked number 2. We had predicted a 29-28 unanimous decision for Jessica Aguilar using her striking and keeping this fight on the feet. In the first round, Fuji does get a takedown, does very little with it. Aguilar's boxing is outworking and being more effective, landing the crisper, cleaner, more impactful shots on Fuji, who wins the first round. The second round, again, all stand-up. Fuji is throwing kicks, being more diversified with her offensive attack, just not being successful with the amount of damage the strikes are imploring. So Aguilar won the second round. In the third round, about halfway through, Fuji does get a takedown, got on top, using ground and pound. Never really had Aguilar to a point of where she could finish her, but was controlling and dominant with the ground and pound. The last minute of the fight, both ladies were gassed, and Fuji was just kind of laying on top of Aguilar. At this point, I would have felt it'd been fine at any point for referee Jason Herzog to have a stand-up, but he felt it was not warranted. The fight ends anticlimactically with both ladies gassed on the ground, Fuji on top of Aguilar. We go to the judges' decision, and unanimously, just like we called it, 29-28, Jessica Aguilar wins the fight, and will probably now have the number 1 ranking for women's strawweight division. It's 115 pounds, in case you're wondering. Now we move on to welterweight semifinal number 2, Karl Amossou, Dave Rickles. We had predicted this fight to end violently in the first round with a TKO from Amossou with a head kick. That really wasn't the way the fight went down. This was a long, grueling fight. Karl Amossou using his judo, getting takedowns in the first round, having top control, kind of stole the round. In the second round, halfway through, you can see Amossou's gas tank starting to just waver, but that judo background, the throws, were still getting him to be on top in the grappling positions. The striking was very, very close. Amossou ends out the second round on top, fighting off an armbar, slammed out Rickles twice, and gets back to the guard, ending the round on top. In the third round, Rickles switches it up on Amossou, putting Amossou on his back, beating him up. Amossou is constantly being warned by the ref to watch out for his feet towards Rickles' face, trying to fight off. And watching Amossou, the way he's using his feet and what they're calling illegal blows from the ground, I understand kicking someone in the head is bad, but just watching that fight gives me reasons why I would love to see kicks on the ground. He was just trying to fight his way out of a bad position. All that being said, Rickles wins the third round using the top control. The second round was a very hard one to call. We go to the judges' scorecards, and with a split decision, 29-28, Karl Amossou is deemed the victor of this one. Dave Rickles, horribly upset, could have turned it on a little bit earlier. Very close fight. Amossou will now meet Brian Baker for the finals. The winner of that gets to meet Ben Askren. Amossou really has to work on his cardio ability. He has that great explosion, but if he gets dragged into a long fight by Baker or Askren, I believe they would win. Amossou really needs to work on that cardio. And now we go up to what we had as the main event, which was the middleweight finals for this Bellator Season 6 tournament. Maiquel Falcao versus Andreas Spang. We have predicted Falcao to win with a unanimous decision, seeing his leg kicks, keeping the distance, and all of that leading to a decision for him in the stand-up. Primarily a striking bout. We go to the fight. Both men said they wanted to come out, stand, bang, and strike. Andreas bang hurt Falcao right away, got him against the fence, was trying to unload and finish the fight, but Falcao gains his composure, gains himself back together, got double underhooks, got a trip, and took Andreas Spang to the ground at will. Using a side back mount position, he was laying devastating blows. In the first round, though, he does have Spang against the cage, and I guess being unaware of the position as he sees Andreas Spang's right hand come off the floor, but with one knee and one hand still down, Falcao throws a knee to the head of Spang, gets deducted a point from the first round, is working behind the 8-ball. In the second round, Falcao not playing with the striking of Spang, basically, again, body locks, a trip, getting this side back mount position, rode it out for the next 2 rounds, beating up Spang. Spang did have several good guillotine attempts that Falcao would drop on his butt, somersault out of, avoided the danger, and really Falcao nullified, used his experience, his maturity, showed me a lot in taking this to the ground after being hurt on the feet. Maiquel Falcao did get the unanimous decision nod, 29-27 across the board. Falcao now will meet Alexander Storm Shlemenko to determine the new Bellator middleweight champion. This will happen as soon as Shlemenko is healed up from his car crash that happened overseas, and this all comes to play because Hector Lombard, the only ever Bellator middleweight champion, is now a member of the UFC. So we will have our second ever Bellator champion, middleweight champion, either be Maiquel Falcao or Alexander Storm Shlemenko. So for Cage Minds, with Falcao, Amossou, and Aguilar winning, we're 3-0 on our official picks that went down. This has been Cage Minds. Thank you for watching. Hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Uncage the warrior within yourself, and have a good night.